On Saturday, June 29th, 2019, I had the incredible honor of being selected Miss Oregon from a phenomenal group of women from across the state. Though I've lived in Oregon since I was 13 years old, I was actually born in Mumbai, India. My parents and I immigrated to the United States when I was about 2 years old, and my Indian heritage has been a huge influence in my life. Growing up, navigating a dual cultural identity was actually one of the greatest conflicts in my life. I felt that I was never Indian enough for my family, and I wasn't American enough for the society I was growing up in. Finding a balance between these two cultural influences in a way that still allowed me to be myself was difficult. I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere, and that I was disappointing those around me because of it, leaving me insecure in my skin and reluctant to put myself out there. I remember when I was in 8th grade, we had elections for student government. I really wanted a position, but I told myself that I wasn't impressive enough to earn it, so I didn't run. When I was a freshman in high school, my choir sang the song Reflection from the movie Mulan for our final choir concert of the year. I so badly wanted the song solo, but I told myself that I wasn't talented enough to get it, so I didn't audition. When I was a senior in high school, I had the freedom to choose my next math class. I considered taking calculus, but I told myself that I wasn't smart enough to excel in it, or any math class. So I didn't even take a math class that year. I could tell you about dozens of times in my life when I wanted something, considered pursuing it, but didn't. It's happened a lot. In fact, if I had to come up with a hashtag that summarized most of my life, it would be hashtag almost did, but didn't. I think all of us have done that. Pulled in almost did, but didn't. And the worst part about it, the voice that told you not to try, the voice that convinced you that you couldn't, was your own. Think about that. In all three of the stories that I just told, I was the one that didn't believe in myself. Granted, there is no shortage of external criticism in the world. I mean, it is almost impossible to look around these days and not be reminded of our shortcomings, because sadness sells. We live in a society that so effectively exploits our insecurities that we now have an economy that thrives on the monetization of our misery. But when I reflect on those moments I just told you about, my almost did but didn'ts, the voice that I remember doing the most damage to my dreams was my own. When did we start becoming our own impediments? Why have we become our own burdens? And how do we stop it? It's only been in the last few years that I began asking these questions and envisioning a different reality for myself. If my voice has the power to hurt me, then maybe it has the power to heal me as well. Instead of using it to continuously put myself down, maybe I could use it to propel myself forward. And instead of my mind being this hostile environment, maybe it could be my sanctuary. I've spent a lot of time with myself in the last few years building that sanctuary, speaking to my spirit, feeding my faith, recognizing my reflection. Every day, I feel my body growing stronger, my mind growing clearer, and my soul growing lighter. I am releasing the burdens that were never mine to bear. I am pushing myself in ways that I never thought possible. I am recommitting to my values, reimagining the world we live in, and closing the gap between the woman I am and the woman that I have always wanted to be. 4 years ago, the Associated Students of Oregon State University, OSU's student government, had openings for positions in its executive branch. I wanted a position, and instead of telling myself that I wasn't impressive enough to earn it, I focused on submitting the best application I could. I applied and was fortunate enough to be selected as that year's coordinator of women's affairs. 3 years ago, the Miss Washington County Scholarship Pageant was taking place in my hometown. I wanted to compete, and instead of telling myself that I wasn't talented enough to win, I dedicated time every single day towards improving my performance. I competed, and not only did I win the title of Miss Washington County, but I took that same talent to the Miss Oregon competition later that summer and won a talent award for my performance. The song that I sang was Reflection. And that was the song that I competed with last summer when I finally earned the job of Miss Oregon. 2 years ago, I graduated from Oregon State University with my Bachelor's of Science in Chemical Engineering, a degree that required mastery of not 1, not 2, but 5 terms of calculus. The thought of taking that many rigorous math classes would have terrified me in high school. But instead of telling myself that I wasn't smart enough to become an engineer, I just studied harder than I ever had before. Now, I work as a process engineer in the semiconductor manufacturing industry, and I've shared my story with students across the state so that they know that excelling in engineering is a matter of perseverance, not preordained talent. Earning the title of Miss Oregon was almost another almost did but didn't moment for me. After competing for 3 years, I almost didn't come back last year, my final year of eligibility. Despite placing first and second runner-up in previous years, I just didn't believe that I had what it took to be Miss Oregon, and I felt that I was losing myself a little more every year trying to become who I thought they were looking for. I had reached the point where I cared more about winning than honoring my authenticity. I knew that if I was going to do this one last time, it needed to actually be me that was doing it. Last year, instead of telling myself that I didn't have what it took to win Miss Oregon, I challenged myself to simply work towards becoming the woman that I needed when I was a girl. After all, it's not like trying to be someone else had worked before. One of the questions I was asked in my Miss Oregon interview last year was, having competed for 4 years, what is different about you this year than in years past? I looked at my judges and I answered, this year, I am here to advocate for myself. My allegiance is not to the goal of winning Miss Oregon, but to using this opportunity to share my lived experiences and my values. And if who I am happens to align with whom you all believe Miss Oregon 2019 should be, then what a blessing that will be. But if not, I know that there are other opportunities out there for me. I will always be grateful to that judging panel for blessing me with the job of a lifetime, but I am even more grateful to myself for not sacrificing who I am in the pursuit of that job. While never becoming Miss Oregon would have been disappointing, ending my journey in the Miss Oregon Scholarship Program as anyone other than myself would have defeated the purpose of competing entirely. As Miss Oregon, I've traveled across the state promoting my social impact initiative, STEM Powered, by bringing STEM learning opportunities to young students with the goal of inspiring the next generation of female scientists and engineers. Encouraging women towards careers in engineering not only brings them more economic empowerment as individuals, but allows us to have more diverse workforces in our fastest growing industries, which increases creativity and productivity overall. While I hope to do my part to grow the percentage of working female engineers in the United States, which currently only stands at 13%, there is one more message that I want to share with as many young women as I can, so that they never have an almost did but didn't moment. And it is this: build yourself a sanctuary that is sweet but strong. Make it flexible but formidable. If you can find solace within yourself, if you can create a space of healing that is available to you at all times, you will grow more ambitious, more courageous, and have a greater capacity for empathy than you ever thought possible. Become your greatest ally, and you will never fight any battle alone. Because honestly, no one can pay you the love that you owe yourself. You, yourself, your sanctuary.